People never expected much from Daniel. He was not fast. He was not smart in a special way. At school, teachers did not praise him. Friends did not ask him for help. He was just average. When others solved problems quickly, Daniel needed more time. When others spoke confidently, he stayed quiet. He often felt invisible, like someone standing in the shadow. Daniel knew one painful truth. He had no clear talent. This thought followed him everywhere. On the bus, in the classroom, at night, when he looked at the ceiling and asked himself, "Why am I like this?" Many people around him believed that success belongs to the talented. They said things like, "He is gifted. She was born smart. He has natural ability." Daniel listened, and slowly, he started to believe that success was not for him. But something inside him refused to disappear. It was not confidence. It was not hope. It was a quiet voice that said, "Try again tomorrow." Daniel failed many times. He tried learning new skills and felt slow. He tried sports and always finished last. He tried speaking English and made mistakes again and again. People laughed. Some ignored him. Some gave advice he did not ask for. "Maybe this is not for you. Find something easier. You are wasting your time." Daniel smiled on the outside, but inside, every word hurt. One evening, after another long and tiring day, Daniel sat alone in his small room. He opened his notebook. The pages were messy, full of mistakes and cross lines. He almost closed it. Almost. Instead, he took a deep breath and wrote one simple sentence. "I will continue, even if I am slow." That sentence changed nothing that day. Daniel did not become better suddenly. He did not feel strong or special. But the next day, he opened the notebook again. And the next day, and the next. No talent, no applause, just consistency. At that moment, Daniel did not know it yet. But his real journey had begun. Daniel's days started to look the same. Wake up, study, practice, fail, repeat. There was nothing exciting about his routine. No dramatic moments. No big wins. While others talked about results, Daniel focused on process. He studied early in the morning when his mind was calm. He practiced in silence while others rested. He wrote notes, crossed them out, and wrote again. Progress was painful. Sometimes it felt invisible. 1 week passed. Nothing changed. 1 month passed. Still nothing. Daniel asked himself many times, "Is this working at all?" But instead of stopping, he made one small rule. Never miss a day. Not a perfect day. Just a day. Even when he was tired. Even when he felt stupid. Even when he wanted to quit. Some days he studied for 1 hour. Some days, only 10 minutes. But he showed up. People around him didn't notice anything. They were busy with their own lives. Success stories on social media made him feel even smaller. Look how fast they are, he thought. Why am I so slow? One afternoon, Daniel failed an important test. Again, his hand shook as he held the paper. Red marks everywhere. A familiar feeling returned. Shame. For a moment, he wanted to throw everything away. The notebook, the plan, the dream. But that evening, he opened the notebook once more. This time, he wrote another sentence. Slow progress is still progress. It was not motivation. It was a decision. Daniel stopped comparing himself to others. He compared himself to yesterday. Yesterday, he didn't understand this topic. Today, he understood a little. Yesterday, he quit early. Today, he stayed longer. Tiny improvements, almost invisible, but real. What Daniel didn't know was this. While talent starts fast, consistency lasts long, and his slow path was building something strong. As weeks turned into months, the doubts around Daniel became louder. At first, people were silent. Then they started asking questions. Why are you still trying? Isn't this too hard for you? Maybe this is not your thing. They didn't sound angry. They sounded concerned. But concern can hurt more than hate. Daniel smiled and said nothing. Inside, however, every word stayed with him. At dinner, his family talked about safe jobs, stable lives, simple paths. Not everyone needs big dreams, someone said. Daniel looked at his plate and nodded. But his mind was screaming. Late at night, when the house was quiet, the inner voice returned. You are wasting time. You started too late. You are not special. That voice knew all his weaknesses. It spoke with his own voice. Some nights, Daniel couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, feeling heavy. He imagined quitting. Life would be easier. No pressure. No disappointment. But then he imagined something worse. A future where he never tried. That thought scared him more than failure. The next morning, Daniel woke up earlier than usual. Not because he felt strong, but because he felt tired of doubting. He made a new habit. Whenever doubt appeared, he wrote it down. Then he answered it with action. You are bad at this. Practice for 30 minutes. You will fail again. Review mistakes. You are alone. Keep going anyway. He didn't try to feel confident. He tried to be consistent. Slowly, something changed. The doubts didn't disappear, but they lost control. Daniel understood an important lesson. Confidence is not the absence of doubt. It is moving forward despite it. Every time he chose action over excuses, his mind became quieter. The world was still noisy. People still doubted. But inside, a small voice began to grow. You are building something. One step is enough. Don't stop. And for the first time, Daniel felt it. Not talent. Not luck. Direction. Daniel did not notice the change at first. There was no big moment. No applause. No sudden success. Only small signs. One evening, while practicing, he realized something. A task that once felt impossible now felt normal. Not easy, but possible. He stopped and looked at his notes. The pages were full. Mistakes, corrections, ideas, reminders. This was not talent. This was time. A few days later, something unexpected happened. At work, his manager asked for help on a small project. Nothing important, just a simple task. In the past, Daniel would have stayed quiet. He would have let others speak. This time, he raised his hand. I can try, he said. His voice was calm, but his heart was racing. The room was silent for a second. Then the manager nodded. Okay, go ahead. Daniel worked on the task carefully, slowly, focused. He checked everything twice. Then again, when he finished, he felt unsure. But he submitted it anyway. Later that day, the manager called him. This is good, she said. Not perfect, but solid. Solid. That word stayed with Daniel. Not brilliant, not talented, but solid. For the first time, his effort had a clear result. That night, Daniel did not celebrate. He didn't tell anyone. He simply sat quietly and smiled. The win was small, but it was real. And real wins change something inside you. The next day, Daniel showed up with more energy. Not excitement, belief. He understood a powerful truth. Success does not start with big victories. It starts with small proof. Proof that effort works. Proof that consistency builds strength. The doubts were still there, but now they had an answer. A simple one. I am improving. And once that sentence becomes true, quitting becomes harder than continuing. Daniel did not change his routine. He still woke up early. He still practiced every day. He still made mistakes. But something around him began to shift. People noticed. Not because Daniel talked more. Not because he tried to impress anyone. They noticed because he was consistent. At work, his managers started giving him slightly bigger tasks. Nothing dramatic, just a little more responsibility. Daniel accepted them quietly. Some coworkers were surprised. Since when is Daniel so serious? One of them joked. Another said, he's trying too hard. It won't last. Daniel heard these comments. They reached his ears, but he did not react. Before, words like this would hurt him. They would make him doubt himself. Now, they felt different. Not softer, smaller. Because his focus was no longer on opinions. It was on progress. One evening, an old friend invited him out. You work too much, the friend said. Relax. You're not special anyway. Daniel smiled politely. I know, he said. That's why I work. The friend laughed, not understanding. But Daniel did. He had learned an important lesson. People notice change before they understand it. And they often criticize what they don't understand. Weeks passed. Daniel's skills improved slowly but clearly. His confidence became quiet, not loud. One day, a coworker asked him for advice. How did you learn this? The coworker asked. Daniel thought for a moment. I didn't learn it fast, he said. I learned it every day. That night, Daniel wrote a sentence in his notebook. Consistency looks boring from the outside, but powerful from the inside. He closed the notebook and turned off the light. He was still not talented, still not famous, still not special, but he was becoming reliable, and reliability is the foundation of success. Tomorrow, he would show up again, not to prove others wrong, but to keep proving himself right. One morning, Daniel did not want to wake up. His alarm rang. He turned it off. 5 more minutes, he thought. But 5 minutes became 20. His body felt heavy. His mind felt tired. Nothing was wrong, yet everything felt difficult. This was new. Before, he struggled because he was bad at things. Now, he struggled because he was tired of trying. At work, he made small mistakes. Not big failures, just careless errors. Normally, he would correct them calmly. That day, they annoyed him. Why am I even doing this? He thought. I'm still not the best. I'm still not talented. That thought stayed with him all day. In the evening, he sat at his desk, staring at his notebook. No motivation, no energy, no excitement. Only discipline remained. And discipline feels cold when motivation is gone. Daniel remembered something he once read. Motivation makes you start. Discipline makes you continue. He didn't feel strong. He didn't feel inspired. But he opened the notebook anyway. He practiced for just 10 minutes. Not an hour. Not even 30 minutes. Just 10. It felt boring. Slow. Almost useless. But when he finished, something changed. Not happiness. Not pride. Relief. He had not broken the chain. That night, he understood another truth. Success is not built on great days. It is built on bad days you don't quit. The next morning, motivation was still low. So he repeated the same rule. Minimum effort is still effort. Some days he did more. Some days he did less. But he never did nothing. Weeks later, Daniel looked back. Those tired days, the quiet ones. They had strengthened him more than the exciting days. Because anyone can work when they feel motivated. But only disciplined people work when they don't. Daniel was still not talented. But now, he was mentally stronger. And strength grows silently. Just like consistency. Something small changed. Daniel did not notice it at first. One afternoon at work, his manager stopped near his desk. He looked at Daniel's screen quietly. Daniel felt nervous. Usually, silence meant criticism. But this time, the manager nodded. "This is better," he said. "Your work is cleaner, more consistent." Just one sentence. But it stayed in Daniel's mind all day. For the first time, someone noticed. Not his talent, not his speed, his consistency. That evening, Daniel walked home slower than usual. He thought about the early mornings, the boring practice, the tired days when he almost quit. None of those moments felt important back then. But now they were adding up. At home, he opened his old notebook. The first pages were messy, full of mistakes, weak attempts. The recent pages looked different, clearer, more confident, more controlled. He smiled quietly, not because he was successful, but because he was improving. A few days later, another moment came. A coworker asked him for help. That surprised him. Before, Daniel was the one asking questions. Now, someone trusted his knowledge. He explained calmly, slowly, clearly, and he realized something important. Consistency had changed how he thought. He was no longer chasing fast results. He was building a system. Wake up, work, practice, rest, repeat. No drama, no ruse, just progress. That night, Daniel understood a powerful truth. The world respects results, not effort. No one saw his lonely mornings. No one cared about his tired nights. They only saw what he could do now. And that was okay. He did not need applause for the struggle. The struggle was his private teacher. Daniel was still not the most talented person in the room. But now he was reliable. And reliability creates opportunity. For the first time, Daniel believed. If I continue like this, my life will change. Not tomorrow, not next week, but slowly. And slowly was enough. Success never comes alone. It brings new pressure. As Daniel's work improved, expectations increased. His manager started giving him harder tasks. Deadlines became tighter. Mistakes were noticed more. At first, Daniel felt proud. Then he felt tired. One evening, he sat alone, staring at his screen. His eyes hurt. His mind felt heavy. A quiet thought appeared. You've done enough. Take it easy now. That voice sounded friendly. Dangerously friendly. Daniel remembered the past. Every time he listened to that voice, he stopped. Every time he stopped, he went back to zero. This time was different. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Just one more small step, he said to himself. Not perfection, not greatness, just consistency. The next day, things went wrong. A project failed. His manager was disappointed. Daniel felt the old fear return. What if I'm not good enough after all? That night, he almost skipped his routine. Almost. Instead, he opened his notebook. He did not write goals. He wrote reasons. Why he started. Why he stayed. Why quitting was no longer an option. He realized something important. Consistency is hardest when results slow down. Anyone can work when they feel motivated. Few people work when motivation disappears. The next week was difficult. No progress, only effort. But Daniel continued. Same wake-up time, same focus, same discipline. One morning, he noticed something strange. The pressure felt lighter, not because work became easier, but because he became stronger. His mind was calmer. His reactions were controlled. Problems no longer scared him. They became tasks. That was the real change. Consistency had trained his character, not just his skills. Daniel understood. Talent shines in good times. Discipline survives bad times. And survival creates growth. He was still tired, still human. But now he trusted his process. And that trust gave him quiet power. Change rarely announces itself. It arrives quietly. One morning, Daniel looked at his life and felt something new. Stability. His days had rhythm. His mind had order. His actions felt intentional. Nothing dramatic had happened. No big promotion. No applause. But something important had changed. Daniel no longer argued with himself every morning. He woke up and moved forward. That alone was a victory. At work, people started trusting him. Not because he talked a lot, but because he delivered consistently. When problems appeared, others panicked. Daniel stayed calm. He broke problems into steps. Slow, clear, focused. His manager noticed. "Why are you always so steady?" he asked one day. Daniel smiled. "I just don't stop anymore." That answer surprised even him. Outside of work, life felt different too. He saved money. He read books instead of scrolling. He listened more than he spoke. People began asking for his advice. That felt strange. Daniel was not special. He was not talented. He was just consistent. One evening, he met an old friend. The friend complained about life. No opportunities. No luck. No chances. Daniel listened quietly. He remembered thinking the same way before. He didn't argue. He simply said, "I changed my habits." The friend laughed. Habits can't change everything. Daniel didn't respond. He had learned something powerful. Results don't convince words. They convince through time. Weeks turned into months. The small actions stacked up. His confidence was no longer loud. It was grounded. He trusted himself. Not because he always succeeded, but because he always continued. That night, Daniel wrote one sentence in his notebook. "Consistency didn't change my life fast. It changed me deeply." And that made all the difference. Daniel stood quietly at the window one early morning. The city was waking up. Cars moved slowly. Lights turned on one by one. He remembered who he was a few years ago. A man waiting for motivation. A man blaming talent, luck, timing. That man felt far away now. Not because Daniel became talented, but because he became reliable. He no longer asked, "Do I feel like doing this?" He asked, "Is this who I want to become?" And then he acted. That was the real change. One day, Daniel received an offer. A better position, more responsibility, more trust. People said, "You're lucky." Daniel smiled politely. Luck had nothing to do with it. This moment was built by waking up when it was hard, working when no one watched, continuing when progress was invisible. He understood something clearly now. Talent starts fast. Consistency finishes strong. Many people begin. Few continue. That is why consistency looks boring, but feels powerful. Daniel didn't feel proud. He felt calm. He knew success was not a destination. It was a direction, and he was already walking on it. That night, he wrote his final lesson. "I was not talented. I was not special. I was consistent, and that was enough." The story did not end there, but the excuse did, and that changed everything.